A while back, we made this tripod set for cooking over the campfire and showed it being used with some S-hooks to hang a pot. And you can link as many S-hooks as you want or add a little piece of chain between the S-hooks to adjust the height of that pot. But there's another slightly more elegant solution that looks good and is practical, and that is a Trammel hook. And a Trammel hook is just an adjustable S-hook, pretty much. And this one has a sliding bar that goes through a hole and can be adjusted through one of several holes on this other bar, and it provides a range of adjustment for your hooks. And that's really all a Trammel hook is. So let's head into the shop and take a look at how we made the Trammel hook. The material I've chosen to make our Trammel out of is a piece of 1/4 by 3/4, and this is 9.5 inches long. This is just what I had in my cutoff pile, so I decided to go ahead and use it. And then I have a piece of 1/4 inch round bar that's about 11.5 inches long. These measurements aren't some firm formula. It's just what I happen to have available, so that's what I'm going to use. This is an easy project to adapt to the materials you have on hand. It could be 8 by 1, it could be a 3/8 hook, although that's a pretty heavy hook. But whatever you got on hand, whatever length it is, you can probably come up with a version of this Trammel pretty easily. So let's go to the forge. It might make sense to lay this out for all your hole placements first, but since I'm not sure exactly how much material I'm going to use for the hook, I'm going to go ahead and do the hook first on this flat bar, and then we'll lay out and punch the holes for the adjustments after I've got the hook done. It's going to do a half face blow, and I'm setting off about 1.5 inches. Since I'm not sure if that's quite enough at this point, we'll add more if I need to. Now I want to take this down to about a 1/4 inch square. I think that'll be the best looking hook since I'm using 1/4 inch round for the adjustable bar. You could draw this out over the horn of the anvil just fine. That's getting pretty close, and I think we're going to have enough material, so I'm not going to need to add any more. I'm working in 1/4 inch flat bar, so I can use that just as a visual guide. When this looks like it's about as big a square as that flat bar, we're there. Like always, I'm going to put a little curly Q on the end just for looks, so I'll taper that out a little further. I'm going to leave this in a square taper. You could round it up if you'd like to. And I think I'll go to a lighter hammer. Just do a little curl on there. Just for a little bit of visual interest. Then we'll go ahead and do the hook. To do that, I'm going to start by offsetting it here a little bit and then bending it back so the center of my hook is centered over the center of this bar. I'm just going to start this back that way and come over the horn of the anvil and bend whatever nice looking hook I feel like bending here. May have actually left a little too much material. This hook's going to end up bigger than I want. I'm going to take another heat and try and clean this up a little bit. I'm pulling back this way as I tap here to kind of uncurl the hook a little bit. It looks like I didn't need to bend that back as far as I did. It's okay to fiddle with this stuff. If it's something you don't make all the time, that's the only way you're gonna get it done. So I'm not too displeased with that hook. I think if I had offset from my original 1/4-inch square draw and left an inch of material instead of an 1.5 inches, I would have ended up with a little bit better hook. But there's nothing wrong with this. That's going to hold it up off the fire just fine. While I'm working on this bar, I'm going to do my usual light chamfering of the edges. Make sure everything's flat and straight. That's all we need to do to this. So now I'm going to let it cool, and we'll mark and punch the holes. That gives us a chance to go ahead and do the round bar that will be the adjustable hook. So just make a quick one-sided hook as opposed to an S hook with 2 ends. Just drawing that out to a square taper, an octagon. Then I'm going to round it up. Put my little curl in the end. It's getting fairly cold, but there's still just enough heat to pull that off. And I'm going to bend the hook part. Just because I can do that in one heat doesn't mean you need to do it in one heat. Take 2, 3, 4 heats, whatever you need. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit without squishing our little curly cue. I suppose in an ideal world, this hook and the first hook kind of match, but I don't think it's vital. But there again, I went ahead and offset this back this way so that my weight kind of runs in a center line. For this, it's not that important. It's just kind of a visual balance that I'm going for. Now on the other end, all this needs is just a simple 90-degree bend. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And this is perpendicular. Don't want to hold very well. Perpendicular to the plane of the hook. This isn't really an upset corner, just a nice clean bend. But either go 90 degrees or slightly more so this doesn't want to slip out of your other bar. So I'm just a few degrees tighter than 90 there. And that's all that bar needs. So I want to lay this out to punch some holes. You could certainly drill holes, but we'll leave more material if we go ahead and punch them. And I want this hole pretty much centered on the end, so if it's 3/4 wide, That's a 3/8 from the end, 3/8 from each side. And then I'm going to skip a little bit to the next hole. I'm going to go about 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to go 1 inch between holes at that point. Right up to there. And I'm going to eyeball center. Feel free to measure center if you're not comfortable eyeballing. And then let's center punch all these holes. We need to be able to find them again when it gets hot. I want a good deep punch mark. In fact, I'm going to get this hot and I'm going to redo the punch marks. They say I'm going to enhance my center punch marks here. That just makes them way easier to see when this gets scaled up from a higher heat that I'll need to punch. And it also means that it gives me a little bit better target for my punch. The end of my punch actually indexes in that, whereas it doesn't index in the original center punch mark. You could certainly use a hold fast to hold this down, but I can probably get this done a little faster. It's a little hard to flip by just trying to be careful and not chase it off the edge of the anvil. And with any luck, I can do 2 holes every heat. I may have enough heat to do 3 holes. Pull your punch. Just barely enough heat to do 3. No reason to get greedy. Now we are punching holes for a 1/4 inch bar, but that bar has to be able to fit in here easily, so I'm really going to more of a 5/16 hole by the time I'm done. My tapered punch, the further I drive it in, the larger the hole gets, and it just swells out around the edges here. But that fits this bar very nicely. We'll just keep going just like that. One more heat, we should have it. Pays to keep it straight as you work on it. just going to try and clean these up. One of these holes is a little bit bigger than the others, so stretch the small ones. Now, if you don't like this bulged out look at every hole, you could certainly drill these holes. There's no reason not to. So this last one needs to be bent over so that this adjustable hook is captive in it as it goes up and down. And then it can adjust all of these different points. Well, it's going to be close. I may have made this hook a hair short, but that's okay. What I do want to do is make sure that my hooks are pointing in opposite directions as opposed to the same. I just think it looks better. It doesn't make a bit of difference in use. I just think it looks better to have them opposites. So I want to bend this up from this point of view, so if I put this hook to my left, then that goes down, and that will help me know what I need to do. And I'm going to bend it right about in the center between this hole and this hole. A little bit of selective cooling will help keep me from deforming the bar too much. Squishing all my holes that I just worked so hard on. So that's really all we have to do to it. Let's see if I got it bent the right direction. So it looks like I did. It certainly works better in these upper holes. But there's one thing I don't like. I don't like the fact that this is so far apart. I'd like to get this hook in tighter in here. So to do that, I'm going to push this down and create just a little bit of a back bend right here. I may actually lose the use of this bottom hole doing that. Again, I've cooled the area that I don't want to deform. And then I can forge that back and get the edge of this hole more or less in line with my bar here, and I like that a lot better. That seems more secure to me. And we can even get all the way up there to that top hole if we need to. The bottom hole, though, isn't going to be very easily accessible. If I cut this a little shorter, I could. I don't know if I want to do that or not. I kind of like the extra security. But I think that's about it. Well, here's our completed trammel. And it will adjust nicely clear up to the top hole, but the bottom hole is useless. I didn't need to even bother putting that in. So we get 5 holes worth of adjustment. If you wanted 6, make it a little longer, or as I say, don't leave as much for this top hook, and you could shift all 6 holes up. I think if this was a 1/2 inch higher, it would be a usable hole. That means we have a maximum usable length of 15.5 inches, and adjusted all the way up, we have a usable length of about 11.5 inches. So that's only about 4 inches of total adjustment, which is about right. But that is a useful item, looks good. And we're going to go put that on the tripod. So there is our adjustable trammel in place on the tripod. You could use this on a crossbar style fire iron set, or a fireplace crane in the house. Lots of places you could use this. An adjustable plant hanger if you wanted to. And you can make this as long as you want. But the longer you make this piece, the fixed piece with the holes, the longer your minimum adjustment is. You'll get a much longer maximum adjustment. The disadvantage is you can't ever get any further up from your fire than this, whereas using S-hooks, you could get within 1 S-hook of the top of the ring here, and that's only 3 inches down, so that's a much tighter adjustment. So if you're making a set of these, you may actually want to have some S-hooks and a trammel hook. So that's just a nice simple project. You can adapt this any way you want based on the materials you have on hand. What you saw me doing today is the way I figure out what I really want to do with a project like this. If I were going to make a bunch of these that I wanted to sell at a rendezvous or craft fair or put in my Etsy shop, this is what I would do to start. And then I would take notes and say, what do I want different? Well, I know this bottom hole is useless, so I'm not going to put that in. I know I'd like to change a little bit about this hook, so I might keep my material lengths the same, but by shortening this hook and moving the holes up a little bit, I think I would be happier with it. And I would make one like that and try it. If I like that one, then those are the measurements and the notes that I would go by to make the production run of them. Most of you probably aren't doing production runs, so that doesn't really matter, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this one as a one-off hook. But if I were making a bunch of them, there are improvements that could be made. But this is the starting place. Make one, see what happens. Then adjust, adapt, and do a little bit better job the next time, and pretty soon you land on something you really like and you keep making more just like that. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this is a useful project for you. Love it if you give it a thumbs up. Love it if you hit that subscribe button. Watch a few more of the videos. Share the videos with your friends. Remember, we've just set up a Facebook group where you can go and share pictures of the things you've made. And one of the other people have already shared a picture of this exact same thing. Even though I had planned to do the video, he beat me to the punch and already posted a trammel that he made that is very similar. So if you do Facebook, go over to the Facebook group and take a look at that. In the meantime, I hope you can get out to the shop, make something, enjoy your time in the shop. It is special and it's irreplaceable and it's the best way to learn. So get out there, have fun, but do stay safe, do wear your safety glasses, and we will see you for the next one.